Hello TEL200 students, and welcome to our last screencast video for the course. This is an overview of Lesson 7, and Lesson 7 will start on Thursday and will take us through October 1st, which is a little bit longer than most lessons. This last and final lesson ends on a Friday. So I just want to talk you through some of the things that are going to be expected of you in Lesson 7. Really, Lesson 7, as you can imagine, is meant to be kind of like cumulative or summative for the whole course, right? An overview of everything and bringing it all together. So in this lesson, it's really a chance for you to present two major projects. One would be your career choice presentation. Thank you to all of you who submitted your career choice presentation plan at the end of Lesson 5. We have a pretty good idea of all the careers that our students are exploring and whether or not they're working with a partner or on their own. So thank you to those of you that submitted that assignment, even though it wasn't worth any points. The questions that those of you that did turn in your plan posed are relevant, and I think it's going to guide you to do a really excellent presentation about your career. So in this lesson 7 is when you are going to present your presentation to your group and also submit your presentation for grading. So this requires kind of two things. What you'll see here in our lesson 7 is a link to submit your presentation. So you're going to do that, but you're also going to need to go to your group's discussion board, and you'll see, like, let me show you if I can show you my group. One of my groups, 10. So if I scroll down to the bottom of my discussion board, you'll see that there's a discussion board for presentations, for your career choice presentations. So part of this assignment is going to not only be to create a presentation around your future career, right, but also to share that with others and respond to other peers in your group's presentations. And so I'm going to navigate back here to lesson 7. When you're in lesson 7, you're going to see that you have to submit your presentation for grading. So in this link, you can upload your PowerPoint or Google Slides or a link to your Prezi, right? But in addition, you're going to want to make sure that you're posting your presentation into the discussion board and responding to peers' posts as well. So not only do you want to go in and put your board up there, but you're going to want to respond to others' peers' presentations. So that's the first part of lesson 7. And while your presentation is not due for submission until the last day of this lesson, which is October 1st, you will probably want to post your presentation a few days early to your discussion board so that your peers have a chance to respond to it. So maybe a good way to think about this would be by Wednesday, right? Have your presentations up to the discussion board for your peers to review and respond to. And so that way you can have time to respond to one another's. And also maybe you're going to get some ideas from your peers that would then help you modify your presentation, and you can make any changes to your presentation prior to submitting it here for credit. Okay, the other main assignment this week, we've been talking all course that you're going to have to create a video in lesson 7, so here it is. In this lesson, you are going to create a video of yourself. You're going to introduce who you are and what career you're going into and why, how you're going to reach that career goal, and what your life's going to look like once you get into that career. So this assignment is basically a chance for you to reflect on and integrate everything you've learned throughout the course along with your personal self-reflection. And so you'll see here that the content of your video can basically be broken into 4 parts. You're going to introduce who you are, right? And when you're thinking about who you are, you're going to want to think back to like Bronfenbrenner's theory and how we develop and our life experiences that have impacted us. So you're going to introduce yourself, you're going to think about who you are and why, right? What has impacted your development? What has made you the person you are today? You can also talk a little bit about your passions and your biases, right? So things that kind of like have molded you into who you are. Once you introduce yourself, you're then going to tell us about the career you're pursuing. So what is the career you want to go into? Why did you choose this career? And, you know, how do your interests, wants, and needs from life tie into this career choice? You're also going to want to think about and talk to what impact do you hope or think this career will have on your community. And when it comes to community, you can think like intimate community in terms of like local community, school community, neighborhood community. You can also think larger, right? So you can think about your community of millennials. You can think about your community of Arizonans. You can think about your community of, teachers at large. You can think about your community to a person in this global economy. So you can think about community as either being more local or more expansive. So first, who are you? Second, what career are you pursuing? The third major point of this video should be, what do you need to do between now and getting your career to reach that career goal? So you're going to think about educational goals, you're going to think about financial goals, location goals. Do you have to move, right? Maybe you have to attend some other trainings or do some other internships or certifications. Some of you want to go into teaching, right? So maybe after completing your ed studies degree, one of the things you could talk about is going back and doing a one-year master's in certification or something like that. So educational goals, financial goals, location goals, other learning goals, and then also any family or partner goals, right? So maybe you have a partner or family members and you need to work with them in order to reach your career goal. And then the last component of your presentation is going to be, once you get the career that you're seeking, where do you expect to be in 3, 5, and 10 years, right? So recognizing that our goals don't end as soon as we land a career of our dreams, right? Even after we get the career of our choice, we still have to work at it. We need to continue professional development. We need to maybe continue education or training. And there might be future steps within that same career. So maybe you want to be a teacher, but then you also are going to work your way up into an instructional coach. And then maybe 10 years down the road, you want to be working at the district administration or starting your own charter school or something like that. So the fourth component to your video is going to be kind of projecting out, after you get your career, where will you be in 3, 5, and 10 years? Okay, so those are the 4 main components of your video. The video that you upload needs to be between 3 and 5 minutes. Okay, so you guys, that's a tight timeline to cover all of this information. So in order to be successful on this assignment, here's 7 things you need to do. First, think about how you will address the content described above, right? So start going back to your previous work, your previous reflections, previous discussion board posts, those self-assessments that we've done. Start figuring out how all your work so far is going to support you in answering these 4 areas of your video. You're also going to want to read over the assignment rubric, which you can link to here. And make sure you understand everything that's required in your presentation and how it's going to be graded. Okay? Now you'll notice that one big area of your presentation is integration of course content. So while you're addressing these 4 components that you need to cover in your video, you need to be referencing back or integrating into your video presentation how this relates to learning from the course. Right? And so as explicitly as you can be, you want to talk back to some of the readings, some of the topics, some of the videos, right? And because this isn't a paper, you can't put parentheses, right? So some of the phrases you might find yourself saying in your video is according to, or like we learned from, or similar to what we read about, right? So as you're kind of talking about where you see yourself, who you are, what goals you have, hearken back to the assignments, the learning, the videos, the articles from the course, right? Your ability to be able to integrate both what we've been talking and learning about with where you see yourself going is worth 15 points out of the total 100 points for this presentation. The other thing you can look at is what's going to be expected for the main content of your video. You'll see here's those 4 points that we just talked about. The other thing that you're expected to do is have an introduction and a conclusion, right? So start off your video kind of telling your audience, hey, why are you doing this? What do you hope that the audience is going to learn? And then conclude as well. So after you cover these 4 areas, have a conclusion. And so that's going to be 45 plus 15 points. So that's 60 points out of 100. The other 40 points towards this assignment are all geared towards how well you're going to present the information you're sharing with us. So 10 of these points, a quarter of your presentation points, is going to be towards your communication and your flow, right? So how well you kind of move from one point to another. Is it organized? Does it make sense? And do you use some of the transitional or sequential phrases to help guide your listeners, your viewers, to follow where you're going? And then the other things that we're going to pay attention to is, are you maintaining good eye contact? Are you animated appropriately, right? Do you look alive and interested in what you're sharing? Are you using a clear and audible voice? Can we hear you clearly the entire time? Is your delivery poised, controlled, and smoothed. So you have 3 to 5 minutes. Are you rushing and talking super fast? Or can we understand you? Is it well paced? You also want to make sure that you're using good language and pronunciation skills, that we can clearly understand what you're saying. If there's any technical terms about your field, you might explain those things when you're using those technical terms in your video. You're also going to want to make sure that you are professionally dressed, right? That you look professional, and that the backdrop of your video is professional as well. Okay, we don't want to see any messy couches or dirty bedrooms or like empty kitchen glasses, things like that. Imagine that you are using this video to promote yourself in your future career. So you want to look on point, and you want the backdrop to be professional as well. And then finally, you're going to be graded on whether or not you stuck within the 3 to 5 minute timeline. Okay, so if we go back to what do you need to do to be successful with this assignment? Number 1, think about the course you're learning and how you might address the prompts. Number 2, make sure you read over the rubric and you understand how it's going to be scored. Number 3, you guys, I cannot stress this enough. Write a script for your video, okay? Do not try to do this on the fly. You will not be successful. So you need to write out a script. Make sure your script covers all of these 4 areas, right? That you've got a good hook, a good intro, that you wrap it all up at the end with a solid conclusion. And then once you've written a script, practice it, right? Time yourself. Make sure you're within that 3 to 5 minute range. Do you need to add some more details if you're too short? Do you need to cut some examples out because you're too long, right? Practice it. And then make a plan. Imagine you're making a movie, right? So thinking about how do you want to dress? How do you want to look? How much makeup, if you wear makeup, are you going to wear? How are you going to do your hair? Are you going to wear a tie? Are you going to wear a jacket, right? So thinking about the outfit you're going to wear to look professional. And also, where do you think you're going to do this video? What's your backdrop going to look like? And then finally, record your video. Now, after you record it, you might want to consider, before you submit it, which is number 7, you might consider posting your video either as a file or as a link into the conversation board and letting your peers try it out. Because here's the deal breaker, you guys. If you submit this assignment, which is our signature assignment, it's bringing it all together, it's worth 100 points, and we can't access your video, you're going to get a 0. And that's a super bummer. So make sure that however you've created your video, however you've recorded it, it works. Use the conversation board to practice. Your peers will tell you, hey, I can't open this, or I can't get the file to download, or your link's not working, right? So just like with the career presentation, this assignment's not due till the final day of the class, October 1st. But you might want to get it done a few days ahead of time so you can throw it up there on the conversation board, you can have your peers practice it, and make sure everything's working. As you work on these assignments this week, please do use the conversation board and or emails to your instructional team member if you have questions or if you need some support from us. And then finally, if you didn't take a chance in lesson 6, please, we need your feedback. Complete the evaluation for our course. We do look at this and we use this information to make sure courses are constantly improving. So your voice matters and we're eager to hear it. Okay, you guys, I cannot wait, and neither can the team, to see how you pull everything together in this last lesson. It's been a pleasure working with you guys this course, and I'm excited to see what you produce for our last week together.